Coming up on this episode, I find myself in Los Santos, or somewhere quite like it, as GTA 5 steals the show. John proves that imitation isn't always flattering as he runs over 5 Grand Theft also-rans.
Meanwhile, Watch Dogs is a game about a man with a magic phone.
And GTA's past, present, and future are all scrutinized by my former lovers.
The depth of the world that they've created around it is incredible.
It's Daylight Robbery on this week's Video Game Nation. Wallet! For something that's almost entirely concerned with taking, GTA 5 is the game that won't stop giving. Some 20 months after it staged a heist on our wallets and free time, GTA 5 is still receiving new additions good enough to tempt any players who've sworn off a life of crime a damn good reason to return to their law-breaking ways. Earlier this year, we also saw the introduction of the long-promised online heists, giving players the chance to perform increasingly elaborate and explosive raids together. Online heists are as complex and involved as their solo campaign equivalents, and can last as long as your average playthrough of Journey. You case the joint, acquire the right tools for the job, assemble a team, assign roles, and even decide how the haul's going to be split if you manage to make a clean getaway. Not that a getaway in GTA could ever really be described as clean. Such attention to detail is entirely appropriate for a game that's celebrated for its meticulous homage to Los Angeles' massive urban sprawl, right down to the choking layer of smog that hangs ominously above it. What was already an astonishing technical achievement on the last generation of consoles became one of the most graphically accomplished games of the current generation when an updated version was released for PS4 and Xbox One in 2014. This was then followed by this year's even more impressive PC edition. In each instance, Rockstar made the most of the extra horsepower on offer to crank up the visual fidelity, while also chucking in heaps of new side missions, weapons, music tracks, and an almost too authentic first-person mode. Turns out that crashing your motorbike at full speed isn't recommended on an empty stomach. Messy. Still, it offered up yet another reason to experience GTA's trademark brand of insanity from a completely new angle.
I really like setting up like little mini challenges with your friends in multiplayer. There's a great one that I saw online, and I play it myself now, where you get the oil tankers, which are quite explosive. You load them up with C4 and set them on top of the mountain, and you have to very carefully drive down these tiny mountain tracks while not exploding. It's great fun.
This is maybe only insane by some standards, but for a while when I was playing GTA Online it was mostly a BMX simulator for me. I was just bombing around on my bike all the time with some friends and finding cool places to do tricks and cool... One time I managed to get all the way down a building and then off the end of the building and then into a friend's pickup truck, which I think was probably one of the highlights of my entire gaming career.
For the first time in the series' history, GTA 5 featured 3 playable protagonists, each one almost representing a different school of GTA player. First, there's Michael DeSanta, a reformed career criminal doing his best to stay out of trouble while also trying to keep his utterly reprehensible family living the vacuous lifestyle they're accustomed to.
I can't believe you did that! That's my TV!
As someone who wrestles with their own moral code, even in the most amoral of virtual worlds, I identify with Michael's struggle the most. He's surrounded by greed, incompetence, and superficiality, which to him feels even more criminal than the lifestyle he's renounced. It's no wonder he comes running at the first opportunity to relapse. Somewhere in the middle, you have Franklin Clinton, the typical GTA anti-hero and the typical GTA player. He's hungry to climb out of his life of hard-earned mediocrity and into one of glossy, empty excess, also known as the American dream, by any means necessary. And then you have Trevor. Trevor is that friend who always seemed to have the devil on one shoulder and a louder, more obnoxious devil on the other. He's the GTA player that regales you with stories of committing the most abhorrent deeds as if it was the most natural thing in the world. He's definitely the most popular of the 3, but he's not to everyone's tastes.
So my favorite character in GTA, it depends on what you want them for. That's what I like about having 3 characters to choose from. So I think when I want to just inhabit the world, walk around the street, drive some cars, go to the beach, I like to be Michael. You know, Michael is a relatively upstanding citizen. You can be him and just go shopping, and it doesn't really feel weird. Whereas I think if you want to go cause some mayhem, the only choice is Trevor.
Trevor forever. I love Trevor.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
Fancy.
Everyone, I do, a little bit, yeah.
You're worse than I thought. Now let's go, come on!
It's probably Franklin, but mainly because I'm terrible at driving in GTA. So his super ability with slow motion at least allows me to feel like I'm amazing at driving. And he's got the app so you can train his dog to do new tricks when he's on the bus. The other 2 haven't got dog apps. Spoilers.
As strong as GTA 5's leads are, they also highlight the game's narrative weaknesses. For starters, they're all men, and while they're all pretty terrible casual mass murderers, women still somehow come off as worse, occupying the roles of either shrieking gold digger, conniving adulterer, weak-minded Stockholm Syndrome victim, or grope-friendly sex object. Then there's the incredibly heavy-handed attempts at satire, which ultimately is closer to naked gun-level lampoonery. There's no doubting that most aspects of American culture and the arrogant sense of superiority attached to it warrant mockery, but it's largely handled with the subtlety of Trevor's pickup lines.
Wow, Franklin, you never told me that you had a sister.
No matter how much its makers and the media try to dress it up, GTA 5 is popular because it's unashamedly dumb, cathartic fun. It's a game about freeform anarchy, and no end of beautiful sunsets, curated soundtracks, and misguided attempts to become gaming's Breaking Bad are going to change that. They're not the reasons we're still talking about it 2 years on. No, that's because of the unlimited opportunities it presents to act out our darkest fantasies and the uncommonly generous spirit of its creators. It was and continues to be. Now here's John with 5 games that tried to topple GTA and, well, failed is a strong word, but yeah, they failed.
Hello, television friends. Hi, Def. High five. Grand Theft Auto, the evil granddaddy of the sandbox genre, the series where crime pays, pedestrians are target practice, and the police aren't actually as homicidal as they are in the real America.
With style, guns, gore, and your guy always has GPS for some reason, GTA spawned a horde of GTA-alikes, urban sandbox games where you can finally be a successful scumbag instead of a petty one like normal.
Now for this list, I've picked games not created by Rockstar, and I've mostly stayed away from sci-fi and fantasy, because yeah, you can be a thief in Elder Scrolls Online, but these are games where you get medieval on someone's ass because you're a thug, not just because they have an ass and it's medieval, because everything is. Our first entry is what happens when you say, let's do that thing, but the opposite, but kind of the same, but better.
Conceived by David Jones, who created the adorable Lemmings and the original GTA, Crackdown is you as a future cop in a future city busting future criminals in the future. You are a cyborg enforcer from the agency, a double tough band of mercs fighting 3 gangs in Pacific City. You'll get all the joy of super strength, insane weaponry, and the fact that, god damn it, you're a cyborg cop from the future.
Designed to exceed the freedom in GTA, Crackdown makes law enforcement cool again.
All areas are open from the start. The skills for kills mechanic rewards you for throwing yourself into the action, and the game doesn't tell you how to accomplish your goals, you just make it up as you go.
And good on it. I never understand in GTA why to commit a crime you got to follow a checklist. If I wanted to follow the rules, I wouldn't be stealing a car. Two kinds of dogs here. One is undercover fun in modern-day Hong Kong. The other is the puppy so overhyped we had no choice but to put it down.
Sleeping Dogs is you as a cop infiltrating a triad crime syndicate, so you're a good guy, but don't worry, you still get to do all the fun bad guy things.
Meanwhile, Watch Dogs is a game about a man with a magic phone.
Pitched as a gritty revenge drama, Watch Dogs is really Harry Potter and the Enchanted Blackberry. You can hack into traffic lights and security cameras, which is neat, but it's a shallow addition to the genre, and I never felt much exhilaration playing it, especially since I can indulge in better anarchy elsewhere, and I already own a phone.
This one's GTA on Mars. On Mars.
The third in the Red Faction series, you're an exploited miner taking back the planet one suburb at a time. Armed with a jetpack, the occasional mech, a ridiculous tank, a sledgehammer, and an insane amount of explosives, you'll have gunfights, steal Martian cars, but mostly you'll be blowing up buildings.
That's right, unlike GTA, no drugs, no female character dialogue that sounds like it was written by a bloke who'd once seen a tampon and mistaken it for a person. You'll blow up buildings.
There's never enough destruction in GTA. Here, thanks to the Havoc physics engine, you're an incredible wrecking machine. The main game doesn't have the variety and scope of GTA, but once you've made a skyscraper crumble around you, you'll be in love.
Have you seen the movie Scarface? If you haven't, it's about a hard-working immigrant who builds a business empire using only extreme violence and the F-bomb, which is like a grenade, but you can't use it in front of your mum.
You are legendary gangster Tony Montana, back from the dead, armed to the teeth, and about to shove a Cuban cigar right up America. You'll take over Miami, spout the roughest dialogue in showbiz, and thanks to Balls Mode, mow down gangsters with red mist in your eyes, a song in your heart, and the rage of one man going through a million puberties. Say hello to my little friend. Okay, I've reloaded! I can't do that voice at all.
The Saints Row series has always been the biggest contender to GTA's crown.
Once it was a straight-up clone, then by number 3, it started adding something GTA doesn't have: imagination.
Don't get upset, GTA's storylines never had much imagination. GTA 5 is just a bunch of things that were well known at the time slapped together and called a game, and I think everybody really enjoyed Breaking Bad, Midlife Crisis, Let's Torture a Terrorist 2, Back in the Hood.
But I played GTA for the mayhem in free play and online. What does Saints Row 4 do that's different? Well, you're the President of the United States, and just like Richard Nixon once allegedly said, the President can do whatever the hell he likes. It's limitless power meets a sense of humour and a world that's basically a cartoon. Grand.
Join us after the break for more of this and more of this.
Grand Theft Auto is almost synonymous with gaming's progress.
Welcome back. Now, since its humble beginnings as a top-down crime caper that was almost called Race and Chase, Grand Theft Auto has mutated into a multi-billion-dollar monster. Each new release is treated as nothing short of a cultural event, which is weird because it's still ultimately just about nicking cars. So how did this transformation occur, and where can GTA possibly go next? Well, I enjoy the view. I'll let these guys explain. Oh, Jennifer Lawrence's house. Nice.
So Rockstar, that makes GTA, is one of the only studios left that can take 5 or 6 years to make something, and it really shows the level of detail and the sheer amount of stuff to do in Los Santos. It's really incomparable, and I think that Grand Theft Auto games have always been at the forefront of gaming technology as well. Right since Grand Theft Auto 3, they've been at the forefront of what you can do with a games console, and with the PC, as Grand Theft Auto 5 is now showing. So I think Grand Theft Auto is almost synonymous with gaming's progress over the years.
I think, although I'm not a fan myself, I can see how in some ways GTA is sort of the ultimate gaming experience, because it really distills that thing of having this huge world and you know, you can do anything, you can go anywhere, and you have power and control within that world. And of course you can beat up hookers. So, you know, that's capturing a lot of the video game demographic in one go, isn't it?
Inherently, it is a comedy and it's funny. It's not just some sick, violent perversion. It's actually getting at the heart of something to do with Western society, even if it does it in a very subversive way.
I think it's because, really, we're all kind of jerks underneath it all. There's some part of us that's just so jerky, and normal life doesn't allow us to be kind of annoying to other people, so we can just live out these really obscure fantasies of just, yeah, being idiots.
Other developers might roll out yearly updates to their games, and that can sort of take its toll on people's patience and interest in a series. Like if you look at Assassin's Creed, there are lots of those games, and I think people are going to begin to lose interest if you oversaturate. Whereas Grand Theft Auto has been reliably brilliant for like 2 decades. Like, people are going to get excited about the next one.
I think just the level of depth that Rockstar are willing to go into in creating the ecosystem that you're within. So you can see a poster on the wall about something, which then will pop up in a mission you're on, and then you'll hear something on the radio station later on about what happened when you were there. Considering that in some other ways the game's quite restrictive, so like you can't really go into any buildings, things like that. The depth of the world that they've created around it is incredible.
My favourite Grand Theft Auto has got to be Grand Theft Auto 5. It's one of the best games that's ever been made. It's extraordinary. I mean, it's problematic, but what isn't? I think that there's so much to admire in Los Santos that you'd have to be kind of dead inside not to see just how brilliant it is in so many ways.
That you get to play as 3 characters really opened up not only what you could do as those individual characters, but then the way missions would use all those characters together, and it would almost be like a cinematic experience where you could cut from one character to another character and kind of live the entirety of that event from all the angles.
Suede bucks over there.
I did play San Andreas for a bit, and I would say, that is, of the ones I have played, that's probably the one I got on with most. Just because I thought the little guy was quite nice. I thought he was quite likeable. We had quite good hair. Yeah, we just had quite a fun time, just sort of tooling around in cars and just changing the radio stations. Though I was very disappointed it didn't have Radio 4. I really feel like Rockstar missed a trick there. If you could have been like, driving into commuters while listening to the shipping forecast, I feel that would have been a more authentic experience for me.
My favourite GTA game, and I'd say many people's as well, is probably Vice City. That just captured an era and a mood and an atmosphere so perfectly well that it was a world that people just really enjoyed being in. They really enjoyed listening to the music in it. It was one of the first games where music really set the tone of the game, and it was so important to that game that it had this incredible 80s soundtrack, this Miami Vice style, the suits, the cars. It was a world that maybe the 80s style of that Miami Vice style wasn't really around in films at the time, and it was in the back of everyone's heads, and it made a huge revival after that. And it was just a world that people wanted to be in.
Shut up, sit down, relax.
2 things I'd like to see from the next GTA. Firstly, let's get away from America. Now, Grand Theft Auto is synonymous with America, and it's synonymous with trying to satirize America, and sometimes it's really good at that, sometimes it's not so good. But I'd like to see what Rockstar could do with the UK, or what Rockstar could do with another setting. One of my favourite non-GTA GTA games is a game called Sleeping Dogs, which was set in Hong Kong. It was a different kind of story. It was more of a crime cop drama, but it was still really refreshing to run around in an open world city that wasn't an American city. And I'd love to see what Rockstar could do with a city that wasn't American.
I know you've had Grand Theft Auto London, but I'd just like to see it properly. I know we're getting spoiled with Londons nowadays, like we've had The Order, we're getting the new Assassin's Creed Syndicate that's in London, but just a Grand Theft Auto set in London where and the 60s was such an amazing... Basically, I want GTA London again, I think is what's happening here, what I'm deciding. GTA London again.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned this before, but I think with swapping the characters between the 3 main guys, I'm quite interested in the idea, maybe in the next one, of swapping between the good guys and the bad guys. So you can be on the missions, getting up to all these shenanigans as the baddies, but then actually switch and be the police on the other side of it, and so the narrative can play out with both sides of the story. I think that'd be quite interesting.
One thing I'd really love to see Rockstar do would also be to diversify their cast. I cannot believe that GTA 5 had 3 characters and they were all men, because there's clearly a story to be told playing that game as a woman. And equally, I'd love to play as a cop. I think the idea that there's 3 characters in GTA 5 and none of them are a cop is also kind of crazy. And I remember there was some character art released for GTA 5 that had this female cop on it. And I just kept thinking, why can we not play as her? Like, what's her story? How would that work in the narrative, to be playing as multiple characters with one character actively chasing and trying to stop another character, and you're playing both of them? How would a cop relate to Grand Theft Auto's world of crime and violence? Would it change the way that you inhabit that world? Would it change the way that you behave? I think that would be really, really interesting. And I think as long as Rockstar don't go in that direction, they're just dumbing down their product.
The City of Angels is one hell of a place. Home to over 10 million people, it's the largest urban area in the most populated region of the United States. California, fueled first by gold, then by silicon, today has a larger economy than most countries, valued at almost $2 trillion. But you wouldn't really guess that from Los Angeles itself. You don't need to spend long on these freeways or boulevards to observe that for every person of privilege, another suffers in poverty. This is a place with grime on the edge of the gloss and miles of sand beneath the stars. This stark division between the haves and have-nots lies at the heart of GTA 5, but this city of contrast has been inspiring works of art for generations, including Chinatown, Less Than Zero, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers' entire back catalogue, so it's not really surprising that it would form the backdrop of many classic video games. But what can games do that films, novels, and music can't? A sprawling metropolis dominated by roads, Los Angeles has proven itself to be the perfect frame for explorable open worlds. Some attempt accuracy, others go for scope, but every reconstruction uses recognizable locations and landmarks to create a sense of place. One such structure is the iconic Hollywood sign, which sits in the hills of the very same name and has come to symbolize the entire American film industry. We can't even begin to list the games that have used the Hollywood backlots for a level or two. Some have even put you in charge of an entire studio. The TCL Chinese Theatre on the Hollywood Walk of Fame has been the venue for countless major movie premieres, and the forecourt outside is littered with signatures and handprints of the Hollywood elite. Despite this history, it's hard to ignore how dull this area can be, especially in relation to downtown. The center of Los Angeles is where you'll find the real city, with such famous sites as Angel's Flight, City Hall, and Pershing Square. This urban district is one of the most interesting in LA for both its architecture and contrasting cultures. Its grid-like streets are home to some of California's oldest and most beautiful buildings, occupied in tandem by youthful urbanites in trendy loft apartments and its sizable homeless population. What was once an area of glamour and aspiration, a thriving night spot in the world of LA noir, has since become overshadowed by the emerging skyscrapers of banks and big business. What remains of the old city is surrounded by freeways on one side, as well as China and Koreatown on the other. On the south side, you'll find the Staples Center, as well as the LA Convention Center, home to that annual gaming mecca, E3. Over in the west, the beachside community of Santa Monica is where most games go to give their Los Angeles some variety. They often ignore the 12 miles that lie between the iconic pier and downtown, which technically means that the coast isn't part of the city, but who really cares? The pier is, believe it or not, over 100 years old, boasting an illuminated Ferris wheel, a roller coaster, and various other amusements. Down below is the original Muscle Beach, which, as the name implies, is a landmark of physical fitness and has been the venue for many bodybuilding and gymnastics competitions. Carved out between the shoreline and Santa Monica itself is one of America's major roads, the Pacific Coast Highway that runs all the way up to San Francisco and beyond. LA's influence can be felt across film, TV, music, and now games. I've only touched on 3 of its neighborhoods, but there are almost 200 you can draw from. It's a huge place brimming with possibilities, and one I can't wait to see more of. And I'm very sorry to say that marks the end of the current series of Video Game Nation. But don't worry, that previous statement is completely meaningless because the new series starts next week. We are going to be doing something a little different though, because for the next few episodes, we're going to be exploring the most influential games of the last 4 decades, starting with the 80s. If you have any suggestions, share them with us on the official Video Game Nation Facebook page or on Twitter using the hashtag VGN. See you next week. Oh.
The Chase USA tonight at 10:35. It's pretty much like the UK one. Oh, except they've only got the one chaser, and oddly, he's British. So really, it should be the Chase USA with a bit of the UK in it. I'll write to the producers now.